headlines. The 17th Asian Games begins with an opening ceremony in South Korea's Incheon under the running theme of Asia as One. Japanese Prime Minister Shinzo Abe sends a message to South Korean President Park Geun-hye saying he hopes to meet her later this year on the sidelines of an international forum. Could it pave the way for a Seoul-Tokyo summit is the question many are asking. And Scotland votes to reject independence from the United Kingdom in a historic referendum that saw an unprecedented turnout. 55% said no.
Welcome to Primetime News live from Seoul. I'm Sean Lim.
And I'm Kang Chery. Thanks for joining us tonight. The 17th Asian Games have officially begun in Korea's western port city of Incheon. This is the biggest sporting event in this region in terms of participating athletes, medals, and sports. 9,500 athletes are taking part in 36 different sports. And I did some research here. 439 gold medals are up for grabs. That's more than the Olympics.
Right, so you'll see extra sports like bowling and sepak takraw, Southeast Asian kick volleyball. And to explain more, Sung Ji-sun joins us now for details of the opening night. It was certainly a showstopper with some of Korea's brightest stars.
And apparently I can see you guys are very excited to watch these games for the next 16 days because these games actually mark the beginning of the 16th-day journey at 6 p.m. with its 4-hour-long opening ceremony. Now, very much like the 1988 Seoul Summer Olympic Games, they got off to start with a boy rolling a hoop. The Incheon Asian Games opened with a girl doing just the same, a 13-year-old rhythmic gymnast from the host city who actually made use of the apparatus by flaunting her gymnastic skills. And the cultural performances were definitely not focused on flaunting national power like it did in the previous Asian Games, as its executive producer Im Kwon-taek explained before the event. And the 4 acts of the show center around the theme Asia as One, portraying the past, present, and the future of Asia in the most unexpected schemes. Now, all the delegations from the 45 participating countries made their entrance in the alphabetical order of their country according to the Korean language Hangul, with Nepal walking in first and host country South Korea walking in last. And the final torchbearer who lit the main stadium was, as expected, actress Lee Young-ae, who was starred in the drama 대장금 and who was widely known for her donations and also lending helping hands to other countries, like building a school in China. And before the torch was handed over to Lee Young-ae, the final bearers were using up the baseball player as well as Park In-bi, the LPGA golfer, among the others.
Okay, so I guess she represents the idea of Asia as one and doing all the good deeds and whatnot. But let's talk about Team Korea. I mean, which athletes are drawing the most attention this time around?
Well, among some 9,500 athletes taking part, Koreans have sent 1,000 and over 60 athletes to take part in these games. Now take a look at these figures released just a day before this opening ceremony of the ASEAN. According to a survey conducted by PMI, rhythmic gymnast Ho Hyun-jae was voted as the star who most people think will shine the brightest at this Asian Games. She actually came in 5th at the 2012 London Games and 3rd at the Asian Games in Gwangju 4 years ago, and is hoping to win this time around to become Korea's first ever gold medalist in rhythmic gymnastics right here at home. And as you can see, for someone who's already raked in a dozen medals at the Olympics and Asian Games combined, that's Marine boy Park Tae-hwan, who came home with 3 gold medals each from the previous 2 Asian Games. He will be, in fact, competing at a venue that's been named after him, which is setting the bar even higher for the fans who are waiting for not just more medals, but maybe more new records for the Asian continent and the country as well.
What about games, though? What do you think would be some of the games that Team Korea has a good chance of winning?
Well, most people have been already eyeing the game because preliminaries for men's and women's football have already kicked off from last week, and those are the events that Team Korea is pushing to get gold. Also note that in women's football, North Korea is a very strong favorite to win the event along with South Korea. Now, starting this Saturday on the first day of the real competition, Korean athletes will be looking to snatch up at least half of the 18 medals up for grabs from shooting to fencing. Now, we will know the first medalist from Incheon 2014 before 9 a.m. tomorrow morning from women's 10-meter air pistol. Then comes Park Tae-hwan's turn in the 200, 400, and 1500-meter freestyle races in the coming days. Also keep an eye out for the Team Korea's baseball team, which is hoping to defend its title from Gwangju. The final for men's baseball is set for Sunday the 28th, and all the events will be wrapped up before the closing ceremony at 6 p.m. on the 4th of October at the same venue where it opened.
So after all is said and done, how does Team Korea hope that it will place itself?
Well, if we succeed in garnering all the medals as we hope for, we'll be looking for some 90 gold medals in total to place second overall for the 5th consecutive ASEAN, whereas North Korea is vying to return to top 10 after last staying in that list in the Busan ASEAN in 2002. In the meantime, China is sure to stay atop the list for yet another Asian Games since 1982.
All right, well, best of luck to Team Korea and all of the other sports teams. They've certainly worked hard over the years to bring us their best for these games. And thank you, Ji-sun, for giving us the updates yet again for a sporting event.
And let's stay with the Asian Games, but let's talk the money side of the Games. Hosting any large international sporting event has its economic pros and cons.
Right, but as our Kim Hyun-bin reports, organizers of this year's Asian Games are confident that the city as well as the nation will come out on top in the end.
The eyes of Asia's 4.3 billion people will be on Korea's western port city of Incheon this Friday, as the 17th Asian Games kick off with what promises to be a grand opening ceremony. Korea's third hosting of Asia's premier sporting event is one of the most expensive yet, with the central government and the city of Incheon laying out over $4.7 billion on infrastructure and road construction alone. But the general feeling is that it's going to be worth it.
We expect the Games to have a very positive effect on the local economy and the city. The Korea Institute for International Economic Policy says it'll have an economic benefit of $12.5 billion and create around 270,000 jobs. It'll also help us boost Incheon's brand value.
So, in certain ways, everything is looking great, but ticket sales are worryingly slow. With less than a day before the Games officially open, only 10 of the 36 gaming categories have sold out. Only around 60% of tickets for Friday's opening ceremony have been sold. Ticket sales for the actual sporting events are lower, as sold-out events are generally taking place in smaller venues. Organizers will be hoping they aren't left with tens of thousands of empty seats during events in the large stadiums, such as the athletics. They say that while sales are a little lower than average, low ticket sales are to be expected during the Asian Games, as opposed to an event like the Olympics.
It goes without saying that ticket sales for different sports vary a great deal. When popular Korean athletes are involved in events like swimming, gymnastics, and badminton, tickets sell out super quickly. But it's obviously much more difficult to get many people to come to less recognized sports like sepak takraw and kabaddi.
Organizers say they expect ticket sales to pick up steam once the Games officially open, and are already reporting a pickup in recent days. Kim Hyun-bin, Arirang News.
Your gateway to the day's biggest stories in Korea and around the world. Breaking news, the hottest interviews, and a whole lot more. Join Arirang Sean Lim and Kang Chery from the heart of Seoul.
Begins now.
Primetime news, weeknights, live at 10 on Arirang TV.
Strained ties between South Korea and Japan have kept the possibility of a Seoul-Tokyo summit, at least between the current leaders, that is, pretty slim. But will a letter from Tokyo help push things along? President Park Geun-hye sat down with a Japanese envoy in Seoul today who delivered a message from Japanese Prime Minister Shinzo Abe. Shin Se-min has the details.
President Park Geun-hye said she hopes Korea and Japan progress toward future-oriented relations. Her remarks came following a personal letter from Japanese Prime Minister Shinzo Abe expressing his will to meet with the Korean president in the near future, a move seen as a step by Tokyo aimed at repairing relations strained due to historical disputes. Delivered by former Prime Minister Yoshiro Mori, the message reportedly conveys Abe's hopes for a summit with Park, possibly in November during the APEC leaders meeting in Beijing. On the same day in Tokyo, senior officials from the two countries discussed ways to resolve Japan's wartime sexual enslavement of Korean women. The meetings are the latest in Korea's demonstration of flexibility for talks with Japan. Seoul and Tokyo are fine-tuning plans for a strategic dialogue, the first since President Park took office. Vice foreign ministers from the two countries are expected to meet in Tokyo early next month to discuss a wide range of pending issues. Foreign Minister Yoon Byung-se and his Japanese counterpart Fumio Kishida are also looking to meet at the United Nations in New York next week. President Park, however, remains adamant that Japan must apologize for its wartime treatment of Korean comfort women before she sits down with their Japanese counterpart. Shin Se-min, Arirang News.
In Korean politics, the newly selected interim leader of the embattled main opposition party started his day one on the post today. He has a handful of problems to tackle. Here is our National Assembly correspondent, Kim Myung-gil, with more.
Moon Hee-sang says he will do everything within his powers to save his faltering party from the grips of turmoil. The five-term lawmaker will be in charge of Korea's main opposition party until it holds a party convention next year to elect a new party chairman. Political analysts say Moon's first order of business will be bringing the different factions from within the party together and then instituting reforms. The veteran lawmaker is also expected to distance himself from the person he's replacing as interim chief, Park Young-sun, who pursued a dramatic reform drive and wanted the party to be more centrist. Moon was tapped for the job because of a management and leadership style he has developed over a 34-year political career. He was able to minimize the damage on the party after its defeat in the 2012 presidential election and served in various governmental posts during the presidencies of Kim Dae-jung and Roh Moo-hyun. There is speculation that Moon's rise as interim chief sets the stage for an agreement on fixing parliamentary schedules to legislate bills. Meanwhile, the ruling Saenuri Party launched a reform committee on Friday. Over the next 6 months, its 10 members will be tasked with coming up with measures to improve the party's image, regain credibility, and make changes to its process for selecting candidates. Kim Myung-gil, Arirang News.
Standard & Poor's has upped its outlook for South Korea's credit rating from stable to positive. The credit ratings agency cited Korea's favorable policy environment, fiscal health, and improved debt structure. A positive outlook signifies a possible upgrade within 2 years. The agency has kept Korea's credit rating at the current level at A+ since late 2012. The chairman of Hyundai Motor Group defended his company's recent multi-billion-dollar land purchase in Seoul, given that its winning bid was 3 times the appraisal price. Chairman Chung Mong-gu reportedly explained to his investors that his decision was based on the potential for future growth. This was to shake off the market's questions about its priorities and concerns about its long-term competitiveness that sent its shares down more than 9% on Thursday. Since the disclosure, analysts at Citi, HSBC, JP Morgan, and Nomura cut their investment ratings on Hyundai Motor. LG Electronics has set a Guinness World Record not for its sales and not for its profits, but rather for the size of a massive billboard installed at Saudi Arabia's King Khalid International Airport. The board, currently advertising its latest G3 smartphone, is made of 1,800 tons of steel and wood to withstand desert conditions and harsh sandstorms. And that makes it the size of 2 football fields. The company anticipates a wealth effect of roughly $25 million a year from the billboard, as the airport welcomes about 20 million visitors every year.
From K-pop and Korean movies to Korean food, the cultural reach of Korea is definitely growing, and the latest items joining the race are Korean TV programs apparently finding a new home in the United States. Connie Kim explains.
The influence of the Korean wave has established itself in the Asian market. Now, remakes of Korean dramas and variety shows are set to set sail across the Pacific into the North American market. The love story between a top actress and an alien who landed on Earth hundreds of years ago was a mega hit in Korea. Now ABC in the US has decided to make its own version. Older celebrities traveling around the world. That's the idea behind the Korean variety program that's now been picked up in the United States. This romantic fantasy, where the main character can travel 20 years back in time for a total of 9 times, will also be remade in the US. The production company behind the two shows, CJ says American buyers are interested in the subject matters of Korean programs.
American dramas go multiple seasons, so U.S. buyers decide to buy the program depending on how well it can be expanded into a series. In the case of 9, the main character travels through time 9 different times. The U.S. producers are working on giving that angle a twist.
Another Korean program, Good Doctor, will get an American twist. The drama, which centers around a genius surgeon with Asperger's syndrome, has been picked up by American broadcaster CBS.
Overcoming disabilities is a topic that appeals to viewers, and the bits of romance in the plot probably grabbed the attention in the US.
Korean programs are the hot new thing in the US, according to Drama Fever, a video streaming website.
Our biggest title end of last year was Heirs. The premiere, so episode 1 of that title, did more views than the season finale of 90210 in the US, which was broadcast around the same time. So they're gaining definitely in terms of momentum and popularity.
The timing for entering the U.S. market seems just about right, given the success that remakes of Latin American drama, telenovelas, and European dramas already enjoy. Korean producers are now hoping these remakes can be another boost to the Korean wave. Connie Kim, Arirang News.
The final results are in. Scotland has voted to stay with the United Kingdom in one of the most significant referendums in the country's democratic history.
With more, we turn to Paul Yee at the News Center. Paul, with the outcome, Prime Minister David Cameron said the Scottish people have spoken.
That's right, and many citizens across the UK breathed a sigh of relief this morning when the No campaign won by a margin of 10 percentage points to reject independence. Although this vote was struck down, leaders from both sides say change is coming to Scotland and even across Britain. Our Kim Min-ji has his story.
It's a no. Scotland has voted to remain part of the United Kingdom in a historic vote. With all ballots counted, the no camp won 55% of the votes, leading the Nationalists by about 10 points. Only 4 out of 32 districts, including Glasgow, Scotland's largest city, voted yes, but it wasn't enough to turn the cards. British Prime Minister David Cameron said he was delighted that the UK will remain as one.
We now have a chance, a great opportunity, to change the way the British people are governed and change it for the better.
The Prime Minister promised to devolve more powers over tax, spending and welfare to the Scottish Parliament. So what does a vote mean for relations between Scotland and the UK?
Everyone hopes that things will revert to normal, as it were, friendly relations after this. There are bound to be some resentments, but one of the great concessions made to Scotland is more power over their own finances, taxation, spending, welfare and so on. So long as that's delivered, which is by no means certain, but if it is delivered, I think things should be fine.
IB Times political editor Nick Asinder added Scots, in a sense, get the best of both worlds as nationalist leaders got one of their main demands for more power over state affairs. He said although the yes camp lost the independence vote, they've won a lot of extra powers they would have liked. Kim Min-ji, Arirang News.
And now to the Middle East. The Islamic State group has released a new video on the internet, supposedly showing another hostage from Britain. The fresh footage uploaded on Thursday solely featured a British journalist named John Catley, who was said to be captured in Syria in 2012. Apparently under duress, he said he was a prisoner while taking aim at Western governments.
My fate now lies in the hands of the Islamic State. I have nothing to lose. For the next few programs, I'm going to show you the truth as the Western media tries to drag the public back to the abyss of another war with the Islamic State.
Meanwhile, the U.S. conducted an airstrike targeting IS training camps in Iraq for the first time on Thursday. It came on the same day the U.S. Senate authorized support for the Syrian opposition in their fight against IS. And shifting to Wall Street, China's e-commerce giant Alibaba is set to go public on the New York Stock Exchange in the next hour. Ahead of its debut on Friday, Alibaba finalized its initial public offering at $68 per share, the largest for a U.S.-listed company in history. The record-breaking IPO places the Chinese firm's market value at $168 billion.
It's certainly possible that it does open around 80. With the amount of shares that are going to be outstanding, which right now is still a little bit of a moving target, about $81 would give Alibaba a $200 billion market cap.
Analysts are wary over Alibaba's what has to compete in the U.S., especially against established brands such as Amazon and eBay. And finally, turning back to Asia, a smoky haze has covered Singapore, with government officials warning residents to stay indoors. The National Environment Agency said air pollution rose to unhealthy levels on this Friday as a thick wave of smoke was blown in from forest fires on Indonesia's Sumatra Island. However, officials say relief is on the way, with rain in the forecast over the next 4 days. To improve air quality, Singapore has been trying to rein in companies that produce greenhouse gases, regardless of whether or not they operate on the island. It remains to be seen how the new measures can be enforced. And that wraps up our look at international stories making headlines around the world. I'll see you back here next week.
Hello and welcome to sports. As you've heard before, the Asian Games opening ceremony wrapped up, which means the hunt for medals is officially on. It goes right into action Saturday with the first medals of the competition given out in the women's shooting 10-meter air pistol team event. Gold medalist Kim Jang-mi, Oh Min-kyung, and Jung Ji-hae seek to defend South Korea's gold there. Meanwhile, Jin Jong-ho and company also get their title defense shot in the men's 50-meter pistol going on shortly after the women. And that brings us to the weekend schedule, where there are a number of gold medal matches going on, starting at 8 a.m. Saturday. It's shooting, with the women going first. Then at 9 a.m., women's saber kicks off with Kim Ji-yeon taking on China's Li Fei, running through to the gold medal bout in the evening. And starting in the afternoon are weightlifting and judo. Now on to Sunday. Marine boy Park Tae-hwan and China's Sun Yang battle for the 200-meter freestyle gold, and you can't miss that one. Meanwhile, shooting and fencing continue on, along with more weightlifting. Then it's the men's judo under 81-kilo contest, where Kim Jae-bum tries for his second straight Asiad gold. And aside from all the Asiad action, there's another must-see matchup going on. South Korea takes on North Korea in the AFC Under-16 Championship Final. South Korea last won back in 2002, while North Korea returns to the final after 8 years. They were runner-ups in both 2004 and 2006. The event's top scorer so far with 5 goals, the electrifying Lee Seung-woo, starts for the unbeaten South Korean side. The two Koreas go head-to-head at 8 p.m. Korea time Saturday. And that does it for now. This has been Stephen Che. Have a great weekend. And next up is your weather update.
TGIF everyone, welcome. I'm Kim Bo-kyung with your weather updates. Well, autumn is finally here and the weather these days is absolutely perfect for being outdoors. Speaking of which, Korea is famous for its beautiful coloring of the leaves, and Mount Seorak's fall foliage will reach its peak at around October 18th and Mount Kumgang October 28th, Mount Bukhan that is. This morning, Seoul began the day at 14.9 degrees, which is the lowest yet this season, but numbers quickly rose to the high 20s, and it looks like the big gap in temperatures from day to night will continue. Other than that, those down south may get showers through tomorrow morning. Conditions over in Incheon look to be breezy and sunny, perfect for the Asian Games. Here are the readings for Saturday. Seoul will mix it to 29, Daegu and Gwangju 28. On to other places. Daejeon hits 28, Jeju, Dokdo and Mount Kumgang 24. Well, have a wonderful rest of the evening, and I'll see you again after midnight.
Thanks, Bo-kyung. And that's Primetime News for this Friday. I am Kang Chery. Thanks for watching.
And I'm Sean Lim. Have a great weekend. We'll see you back at the same time on Monday. Goodbye.